Welcome back, everyone. So glad to have you here for another deep dive.
Excited to be here.
Today, we're looking at something super relevant to all of us, especially I think if you're a parent. We're diving into the world of AI and children's rights.
Big topic for sure.
Yeah, it's huge, right? We've been really focusing on AI's impact on society in our recent deep dives.
And how could we not? It's changing everything so fast.
Exactly. And today, we're going even deeper, exploring this question. How can we make absolutely sure that these AI systems, which are, let's face it, everywhere in kids' lives these days, are actually designed and used in a way that protects their rights and well-being?
It's the question, isn't it?
It really is. And to get into this, we've got some fascinating material. It's originally a text in Turkish talking about the legal and philosophical side of all this.
Always interesting to get that different perspective.
For sure. So to kick things off, I think it's important to set the scene.
Totally agree.
AI is evolving so rapidly.
Yeah.
And it's really impacting, well, pretty much every aspect of children's lives.
Oh, absolutely. And it's only going to become more pervasive, right? Think about it.
Yeah.
Education, healthcare, even just how kids play and relax, it's all being shaped by AI in some way.
It's mind-blowing when you actually stop and think about it. I mean, we're talking about AI tutoring programs, apps that track kids' health, even toys and games powered by AI. Kids are interacting with this technology from such a young age now.
And that's what makes this whole conversation so crucial, right? We need to be having these conversations about ethics and responsibility right now.
100%. And, the source we're looking at actually highlights some really exciting potential benefits of AI, especially in education. Imagine a system that can personalize a child's learning experience, adapt to their individual needs and learning style. It's like having a personal tutor available 24/7.
Right, that kind of tailored support could be a game changer.
Exactly. But, and this is a big but, we can't just focus on the positives and ignore the potential downsides. The source makes it very clear. We need to proceed with caution.
Couldn't agree more.
It emphasizes the core principles upheld by the European Council: human rights, the rule of law, and democracy. These are non-negotiable.
And those very principles are at risk if we don't approach AI development very carefully.
You mentioned earlier how AI is already so deeply embedded in children's lives, and they're interacting with it at such young ages. I mean, that combined with just how quickly AI is evolving, could we be setting ourselves up for some serious problems down the line?
It's definitely a valid concern. We're in uncharted territory here. There's a real risk that AI systems, if not carefully designed and regulated, could end up infringing on children's privacy, manipulating their behavior, even exposing them to content that's just not appropriate or could even be harmful.
It's a scary thought. And it makes the source's focus on children as a particularly vulnerable group when it comes to AI even more important, right?
Absolutely. We need to be extra vigilant when it comes to protecting children in this space.
And that's where the sources call for child rights respecting and child-centric AI development comes in, right? This idea that we can't just focus on what AI can do. We need to prioritize how it impacts children, their rights, their well-being, right from the very start.
It has to be baked into the DNA of AI development, not an afterthought.
Exactly. And I love this term the source uses, child-centric. It's not just about protecting children from harm. It's about actively designing AI in a way that benefits them, empowers them.
Absolutely. And to make that happen, we need to involve children and experts in child development at every stage of the process. From the initial design phases to testing and implementation, their voices need to be heard.
It makes so much sense. And speaking of prioritizing children, the source highlights a really interesting tool for achieving this. It's called the Child Rights Impact Assessment, or CRIA.
Now, this is something I think more people need to be aware of.
Totally. So, in a nutshell, how would you explain CRIA?
Well, you can think of it like an ethical stress test for any AI system that's designed to interact with children.
I like that, a stress test.
It forces us to ask those tough questions right from the get-go. What could potentially go wrong here? How can we prevent harm? And how do we ensure that we're continuously monitoring this AI even after it's out there in the world? It's about identifying potential risks, but then going beyond that, putting safeguards in place and building in those mechanisms for ongoing monitoring throughout the entire life cycle of the technology.
So it's not just a one-time check.
Not at all. It has to be an ongoing process.
I remember that case a while back. An AI-powered educational game, it ended up collecting way too much data on kids, sparked a huge controversy. Isn't that exactly the kind of situation a CRIA is designed to prevent?
Absolutely. A CRIA would flag those data collection practices right away, made sure they were appropriate and genuinely respectful of children's privacy.
Right. Put those safeguards in place before it even launched.
Exactly. And it goes beyond just data privacy, too. A CRIA would also be looking for any biases in the AI's algorithms that could lead to, unfair or discriminatory treatment of certain groups of kids. It's about holding these technologies to the absolute highest ethical standards.
Which brings us back to something we've been discussing a lot lately. The importance of robust data protection regulations, especially for children, and specifically the EU's General Data Protection Regulation, or GDPR. There's a clear link here, right?
Oh, without a doubt. The principles at the heart of GDPR, things like fairness and accountability, those are absolutely crucial for protecting children's data in this age of AI. GDPR sets a really strong foundation for data protection overall, and then something like CRIA comes in and builds on that foundation. It takes those core principles and applies them specifically to the unique vulnerabilities and rights of children.
So we're talking about layers of protection here, a really comprehensive approach.
Exactly. It can't be a piecemeal approach. It has to be holistic.
This whole deep dive has really driven home the point that we're at a pivotal moment with AI. It's full of potential, but it also presents some serious challenges.
I think that's a great way to put it. Pivotal moment.
This source has given us a lot to think about and a lot to work with.
It really has. As AI becomes even more ingrained in our lives, and it will, the question we all need to be grappling with is, how do we ensure that this powerful technology is used to empower children, not to put them at risk?
Such an important question.
We have a responsibility to figure this out, to get it right for the next generation.
I couldn't agree more. And to our listeners, as you continue to explore this topic, and I hope you do, we urge you to think about the steps you can take, even small ones, to advocate for ethical, child-centered AI development.
It's going to take all of us working together, having these conversations, pushing for change.
Absolutely. And I truly believe that if we put in the effort now, we can create a future where AI benefits all of us, especially our children. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. We'll be back soon with more.
Until next time.